Okay, before I proceed further detail, I would like to explain to you what is my presentation structure. Basically, this is gist of trickle. The first one I will explain on the foundation. Foundation here is that background, problem statement, and also all the idea of the research. And then second, I straightly into bring you into the results, which is what I found and the detail of this discussion. The reason why I straight into the result is that it is easy for us to understand that my research objective has been answered. Then the third one is that why it matters. This is on the contribution of study, the significant study, why this study is matter for the Surabaya Metro and for the construction industry. Number four is that how I found it. How I found is that basically the way I conducted the research, which is through the both mixed method, quality and quantitative. I explain detail on the research methodology. And then the fifth one is the one up and advocacy, which is the conclusion, the limitation of study, and also the summary of this research. And then the last one is that the credibility, the literature review and the data to support my research, and then why this research is important, plus with the references. So far, okay, Doctor, do you get the idea of my presentation?
No problem, just proceed, yeah.
All right, okay. So the first one is the research background. This is the foundation. The background of study. Basically, for the past few years, the overall project contract administration are extensive and also the complex and diverse in terms of the development of the best practices and the framework of the overall organization, specifically for the construction sector. This is stated by Jakula 2004. Contract administration also uncertainty linked to the early stage of design and implementation of the project that basically burden the client and stakeholder. This is what it means from the pre-tender stage until the post-tender stage. So there must be connection between this administration. That's why the pre-contract is very important in order to ease the contract administration during the post-award. And then this study also evaluated critically the best practices of contract management model in Surabaya Metro. Besides, the study helps in providing the framework for best practices of contract management within its stakeholders. Next is the problem statement. Basically, in the contract management, especially in the construction industry, I identified early two crucial points of the problem, which is the first one is the poor contract management in private construction sector. Then the second one is the challenges providing best practices of contract management. As stated by Ahmad 2009, basically there are numerous challenges identified. Leakage in procurement process, which is in the early stage of the pre-contract, partial delivery, substandard item, and integrity issue. So this is actually related to the procurement problems, the pre-contract problems, which will affect the post-contract later on. Zakaria 2015 also stated that project unable to be completed within the stipulated time and budget. This is due to the contract administration issue from the pre and post contract. And then, as said by Laura 2016, some contractors do not deliver the contracted work as promised, which is related to the EOT, will relate to the delay, and also it can be linked to the VO, variation order, due to the problem in providing the best practices of contract management. And the last one is Borneo Post 2022, underperformed parties and consultant, which is it will affect the opportunity cost and the loss of time. This is also related to the best practices of contract management. Next is the objective of my research of the study. Basically, there are three things. The first one is the to evaluate factors in best practices of contract management in Surabaya Metro. Second is there to determine the predictor of best practices of contract management in Surabaya Metro. And the last one is to recommend a conceptual framework of best practices of contract management in Surabaya Metro. So basically, these three objectives actually are related to one another. First is factor, and then the predictor, and the last one, how we would like to suggest the framework for best practices. Next, my next chapter is the what I found, which is extremely into result in discussion. To answer this objective, as you can see from the screen, the first one is the factors. So basically, I have identified 4 factors that lead to the best practices. The first one is the human capital. The second is the selection of contractors, or what we call vendors, or even the tenderers or the subcontractors. And then the third one is the clarity of policy. Clarity of policy is that the procurement policy or even the contract administration policy must be firm, must be there is no ambiguity. And then the fourth one is that the administration of contract dispute. Basically, this is during the post-contract, how Sarawak Metro deal with the administration of the post-contract that relate to the contract dispute, which is normally found in the COC, condition of contract, or even the CSA, consultancy service agreement. I will explain detail in the next chapter. So for the objective number 2, this I already answer, which is what is the predictor of the best practices of contract management, which is again the human capital. This out of 4 objective in number 1, I identify the human capitals. There must be the competency. There must be an experienced project manager or experienced personnel to be involved in practicing the contract management in Sarawak Metro, and also we require the expert opinions. And then my last objective has been answered, which is what are the suggestion, what are the recommendation for the best practices, which is answered and done by the all the respondent. First one is the expert inclusion. Second, the policy must be strengthened. And then the third one is the contract clause standardization. So for the first objective, these are the result and the detailed discussion, which is strongly into the human capital. So as you can see from the table here, the respondent highly agree with 4 out of 5 statement, which in regard to the implementation of human capital in contract management. As you can see, the highest is the amount of knowledge or the competency and the experience of contract manager, which is which they believe that there must be an experienced personnel to be involved in the contractual responsibility. So for overall, human capital administration is shown to be well governed in the contract management department in Sarawak Metro. The next factor is that the selection of contractors and vendor. The respondent highly agree with 2 out of 5 statement in regard to the selection of contractor, which is in order for the Sarawak Metro as a client to appoint the subcontractor, to appoint the contractor, or even the tenderers or the vendors. They look into the first one is the past experience. Past experience here means that there must be, how to say, overall technical, financial, commercial, the capability, what they have been done in their past experience, like for the road works, they must be experienced in the rock, drainage, and all of the construction for the main highway. So the statement indicates that the past experience prerequisite is the 2 main factor in selecting the contractors for award. Okay, this finding show that Sarawak Metro heavily values the past experience and price proposal of the potential, like I said before, for the potential contractor, consultant, vendor, and also the tenderer before selecting them and begin with the contract procurement and also the administration. The third factor is that the clarity of policy and procedure in contract management. As you can see from the table, the respondent highly agree with only 1 out of 5 statement. This indicates that the clarity of policy and procedure in Sarawak is quite poor. So that's why most of them agree in terms of the clarity of the policy, which is from number 2, related policy, procedure and rules are systematically reviewed and improved. This finding showed that Sarawak Metro needs to improve on the clarity of the policy and procedure in the construction. This is due to the reason the Sarawak Metro have a few department, so they work together in terms of the coordinating of the procurement, the contracts, and also during the administration. So the fourth one is the administration of contract dispute and resolution. The respondent only mainly agree with 3 statements out of 5, which indicate that the administration of contract dispute and resolution in Sarawak Metro is fairly poor. This is basically, Sarawak Metro is actually a new company, a new organization. So there is a lot of ambiguity in terms of their contract terms, especially when dealing with the dispute and resolution. So contract administration, contract dispute must be significantly enhanced. Thus, management of contract dispute and resolution is an important factor of best practices in contract management in Sarawak Metro. So this is the overall for the objective number 1. Next, we move to the objective number 2, the predictor of best practices of contract management in Sarawak Metro. So what I've identified is that there is a human capital, the competency, and experts' opinions. Based on the survey, the respondents highly agree with 4 out of 5 statements regarding the administration of human capital in contract management in Sarawak Metro. Basically, this is the same with the first one, which is the human capital administration is shown to be well governed, because they believe the personnel of the the project management must have competence, must have enough experience to deal with all the contract management issue. This is supported by Common Market for Eastern Southern Africa 2011. They say when the right people are in place to carry out the contract management activities, contract management becomes more efficient. Next, move to the objective number 3, the conceptual framework of best practices for contract management that can deliver best quality services to all stakeholders of Seram Metro. So we have identified, according to the views, the contractor should be familiar with the project scope and requirement. This is they should be familiar with the scope of the project. Like for example, when doing the advanced work or doing the system work for the train, the contractor might have the values, might have experience. So each project should include a professional engineer, an experienced project manager, set respondent. In addition to Likert scale question, the questionnaire includes a 3 open-ended question to collect respondent contract management ideas for Seram Metro. So the respondents suggest killer policy and procedure in Seram Metro contract management, and an improved procurement strategy has to be done and to be adapted at Seram Metro. They believe Seram Metro contract management department require more experience. Respondent also suggested to strengthen the procurement policy, clarity, competence, and the contract law should be standardized. This is due to the nature of the business of Seram Metro. There actually a lot of types of contract. So there could be a different clause, like they have the system work, they have the infra work. So the clause might be hybrid and also a different. So for this one, I done this through the triangulation of data. So that's why I have the overall conceptual framework for best practices. Since this is a mixed method, questionnaire and interview, so I've come up with the data triangulations. So as you can see here, these are the triangulation data from the factors of the best practices, and what are the common issue that happens in the contract management. And also they also provide the recommendation for the best practices of contract management. That's why at the end of the day, after I triangulate the data, I found out that the best practices, the framework, the conceptual framework for best practices, that the first one is the human capital. Second is the expert inclusion, which relate to the human capital. There must be an expert opinion to provide a suggestion or recommendation in order for us to complete the contract management. Like when they're drafting the tender document, when they're drafting the even RFP, RFQ, all relate to the contract management. And the last one is the firm policy. There must be a no ambiguity. There must be a clear policy, a plan or a procedure, procurement policy, contract policy, and also the commercial take into account. So for the result, so this is what I get after being through all the research journey. Now we move to the research contribution, which is why this study matters. What can be done, and then what they recommend, what they provide in this research. So for the significance of study, this research contribute to the broad understanding of the finance contract management technique for the construction sector in the current economic climate of Sarawak. It also identify the factors of best practices applicable to Sarawak Metro as a private business operating in the railway construction and also the engineering industry. It also provide a conception framework to be adapted in order to provide the highest quality of services to all stakeholders within the Sarawak Metro, as well as generate guideline for organization in Sarawak. For the contribution of study, this research also provide recommendation and the framework that can be foundation for improvement of best practices of contract management in Sarawak, because we all believe and we all know that there might be an issue even in the project in Sarawak, like Sarawak Coastal Road, the Penpono project, or the latest one will be the Sabah Sarawak Link Road. So this study can contribute how they should provide, how they curated the contract management in their organization. And therefore the limitation of study, I wanted to highlight that the theoretical framework provided in the study is a bit lacking, and it needs more reliable previous research to support the results of the study. And also the sample size used in the study is very limited, which is only 50 participants for the quantitative research and 10 participants for the qualitative research. This is due to the small sample size. It is required to get significant result, because this is basically purely to the Sarawak Metro. So that's why the sample is very low. And for the recommendation for further studies, it is worthwhile in future the study can come up with a more comprehensive framework that can be a guideline for other firms in the construction industry in order for them to improve their contract management practices. The second is that the more attitude surveys should be included in future research. The advantage of attitude questions is that they may be used to analyze a variety of additional obstacles to effective and efficient contract administration. So that is the why this study is matter. Now we move to the research methodology. This is how I found it, how I conduct all these the data collection, what are the research design, what the type sample that I use. So these are the overall research design in order for me to identify the factor contributing to the best practices. Start with the first one is the survey instrument. Start with the draft questionnaire, which is using the Likert scale. And then I've conducted the focus group interview, which is the experienced project manager, experienced contract manager. Then last one, I've come up with the final questionnaire. And then for the data collection, which is the field survey and interview, then I done the interview in the office, normally in the office. And for the data analysis, analyze using the mean of group data, which is actually a descriptive analysis using the SPSS. And I saw the last one for the triangulation of data, the thematic analysis, which using the every themes of the answer from the respondent. So after I come out with the theme, I can see and then I can triangulate all of the data. Then the last one, I come out with the framework of best practices of contract management after done with the data collection and also the data analysis. So these are the research flow, just a generic research flow. Basically for the quantitative data, like through the questionnaire that I pass in the Metro office, and also a qualitative data collection through interview. This is what I explained earlier, using the SPSS for the questionnaire. And for the interview, I'm using the every themes, every word they say, every things that I recorded, I come up with the themes. And then at the end of the day, I come up with the results and the findings, and I triangulate all the data and gather what currently. So this is the social demographic profile of the respondents in the Sarawak Metro. The 23 female, 27 female and 23 male, which is a total of 50. And then the education level, most of them obtain their degree and even the PhD for the project manager. And also there are 40 of the respondents, they are specialized in the contract management, which is in the contract and commercial department, and also in the procurement department. So most of them are the experience 11 to 15 years, which is now they 40 years old and also the 50 years old. So these are the list of the position for my respondent: project manager, contract manager, the quantity surveyor, and also the project engineer. Next, we move to the conclusion and the recommendation. So for the conclusion, Sarawak Metro contract management is hindered by confusing regulation and processes, differing perspective, and also inefficient conflict resolution. So Sarawak Metro must enhance its contract management by strengthening contract monitoring, standard decision making, reporting, and dispute resolution. This research improves Sarawak Metro contract management method. This study also adds to the literature on contract management best practices, notably in construction. So the framework of best practices of contract management in Sarawak Metro will increase the efficiency and effectiveness of contract implementation. This will help to prepare Sarawak to be a developed and high-income region by 2030 as envisioned by the Premier of Sarawak. As the global millennium market became an economic and political problem, contract management life cycle technology evolve and alter. Sarawak Metro contract management is important since it controls various Sarawak transportation projects, especially in Kuching, Miri, and Bintulu, the big city of Sarawak. Now we move to the credibility, which is for the literature review and the data that support my study and also the references. So for the background of Sarawak Metro, basically road transit system in the merchant urban area. Sarawak Metro is wholly owned subsidiary by the Sarawak Economic Development Corporation, and the aims is to provide urban commuter a safe and reliable model of travel. They're also more convenient and comfortable and environmentally friendly. So for the best practices, stated by OIN 2002, thus best practices is an ambitious terms and selection of best practices is one way via which implemented intervention may be evaluated to generate practice-based evidence. So in terms of the contract management in construction perspective, as stated by Candlin et al., construction stakeholder, I will use a standard form of contract to regulate the contractual obligation and expectation during the contract administration process. This is maybe due to the different types of contract, due to the different types of nature of the work. So there might be a different standard form of contract. For the framework for best practices, Zachariah 2015 stated that the success of a project is also influenced by the accuracy and details of its documentation, understanding between parties, and acceptance of their particular responsibility, and how conflict or contractual problems are resolved. This is basically involved in the pre-contract and also the post-contract administration. So last one is the references. This is a list of references that I've had out throughout the study. And with that, I thank you.
Yeah, Reily. I look at your work. Your presentation is quite interesting. It's quite a different way to present, but it's okay. It's understandable, and it is the flow is good, the timing is good, so there's no issue on those areas, Can you on your camera, because we need to know that it is you answering the questions,
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, sure. Oh.
So I just want to look at your methodology. First and foremost, you are actually going by a survey format, am I right?
Yes, correct.
And you got your, okay, where did you find all the factors contributing to the best practices of contract management? It's like, first of all, when you set up the questions, you must know this is the right questions. So where did you know, how do you know that, how did you identify those factors?
Oh, okay. Basically for the factor, right? This is normally through the literature review. So from the literature review, I saw a lot of the previous study and also look into the problem statement, which is what are the problem that face in the contract management. So when I already know what are the problems, so it led me to identify what are the factors in order for the construction personnel to provide the best practices of contract management.
So in your identification of factors, right? So if I were to take a report and read a report, so I would see all these factors shown in some way in the literature review. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I hope that to do the report properly, you will need to also, at the end of literature review or at the end of somewhere in the methodology, you have to summarize the parameters, which is the factors that you are using and where did you get them from. So it's like factors, comma, bracket, which author, okay? So we hope to see a summary of that, because here I don't see anything. So I'm not sure whether you come up with all these things yourself or whether you actually read it somewhere and obtain it from somewhere. And then if you obtain it from somewhere, it is good to actually have references. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, for example, you say human capital, okay, management, and these are the amount of knowledge, etc., the existing comprehensive or orientation, contract management personnel to encourage professional credentials, all these different factors. Those sentences may be created by yourself, but you must, the keyword must be from somewhere.
Yeah.
There must be a basis for it, okay?
Yes.
Even the part 1, 2, and your human capital, selection of contractor, clarity of policy, administration of contract dispute. This one, even these parameters should have, did you obtain it from the literature review? Did you
Yes.
select it from the literature review?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so you must put under factors of best practices, human capital bracket, which author, selections of contractor bracket, which author and year,
Okay.
clarity of policy, which which factors and years, and then you should have another table that that sort of like the sub parameters, sub
Correct.
parameters, and then from the sub parameters, then you create your own questionnaire.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
want to see that you actually get it from the literature review.
Okay,
Okay.
table. All right.
So it's better to summarize it at the end of literature review, and then you, in the methodology, when you list down the parameters and sub-parameters, you summarize them with like bracket author, it can be 2-3 different author, 2-3 different papers, but it's like bracket author, comma, year, semicolon, author, comma, year, kind of thing.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so make sure that you do that referencing properly lah, because I cannot see this here. So I wasn't sure whether you cooked this up yourself or you read it somewhere, and yeah, I mean the worst is students, they just simply take something and then
Yeah. I think I should put the table lah somewhere. Okay, never mind. In the report, I will put it properly lah, so that is easy for the checker to see, right? Yeah.
Yes. It can be in the methodology. I mean, usually we will do a summary, like for example, the above shows that these are the typical parameters from to judge on best practices of contract management, and then you write there human capital, in one column, and then the other column it should be like what are the elements or what are the sub parameters to measure the human capital, and then the authors and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then this also will be seen, like which one, this is the overall you get from literature review, but which one you selected to be used, that one you have to show it again in your methodology.
Okay.
Okay. That should be the proper flow lah, huh?
Okay. Noted.
Right, because otherwise all these are like just like something that we just I expect you to come up with it yourself, kind of thing, then it's not relevant anymore, sort of.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, so okay, that is one. So after you've done your studies on the parameters and all that, you come up with a questionnaire. So you say that you actually go and have a draft questionnaire and then go to a focus group. So who are your interviewee in the focus group? This is to check whether the questions are relevant, is it?
Yes, correct.
So be a bit more specific on that, huh? Yeah, like explain that in the literature, in the methodology clearly, what is the purpose of this focus group, and who are the participants in the focus group?
You mean for the interview?
Yeah.
For interview, our project manager basically and the contract manager. So they are the one who how to say, who know really well on the contract management. So that's why I put them as a focus group lah, because they are the crucial part of the answer lah. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Your contract manager or Sarawak Metro's contract manager?
Sarawak Metro.
Okay.
Yeah. Because just to share with you lah. Okay.
How many of them?
The project manager or contract?
No, the focus group. How many people inside there?
7.
7. So this is just to check through the questionnaire to see whether you can improve the questionnaires only, right? You're not doing another different interview, correct or not?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so this is not a semi-qualitative, like you've got a questionnaire, survey plus interview.
No.
Okay, because what you've written here is field survey and interview, you see? So interview is a technique of its own. So unless you are doing an open-ended, kind of like an interview, then you need to show us the result from your interview. So what is this interview here in your page 24? So if it's a focus group to check your questionnaire, then you are only using field survey only, correct or not?
You mean for the focus group? Actually,
No.
I did ask the 7 of them lah, who I have experience on, and they look my interview. I don't
Yeah,
do my
they look
questionnaire.
at your interview, but you do not have a separate set of questions to ask them about problems, to ask them about causes, to ask them about what is currently happening, correct or not? Do you have it or not?
Yes, yes. That's why I can finally come up with my final questionnaire lah. So actually,
No,
first one
no,
is
no,
the
no, no. It's not about your questionnaire. Your questionnaire is your questionnaire. You have a
yeah.
bit here that say
Oh, you
field
mean interview?
survey and
Yeah,
interview. Interview is a specific technique of its own.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
Doctor. Actually, I have another set of interview questionnaire, which is specifically for the interview itself. It's a different from the questionnaire.
So then how come your result I don't really see, I only see your mostly on the interview. Sorry, mostly on the survey.
Questionnaire survey. No,
Yeah.
this one. This one I triangulate the data lah. Can I
Where?
show you? This one. This one
Or
I come up.
the
Yeah,
page 18, is it?
yeah,
No,
18.
no,
Yes.
no, 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 no. That is not
Wait, Doctor, can I show you my report? Just for this is their answer lah during the interview. So I come up with the teams what they said lah. So this is the interview extract lah. So they said this is specific lah.
So how many interview do you do?
7. Sorry, 10. 7 is the contract management memang ada experience. 3 is just engineer QS lah.
So this pulau is different from the 7 that you're using for your survey. The focus
Ada yang
group is different.
ada yang sama, ada yang tak buat questionnaire lah. Some of them done the questionnaire, some of them only for the interview.
You need to be very specific, not some, you know. You jangan
Oh, yeah.
some me, you know. You have to know how many you're using, how many of them are involved in the questionnaire, focus group
Okay.
discussion, and how many of them, how many actual interview do you do to get the result, and where is your interview question?
I think I explained it. Ni, Dr. Wait, this one. 40 respondent for the questionnaire, 40 questionnaire, and then 10 more interview. So 8 is the contract management, so 2 is the engineer lah.
Can you show me the report? I mean, you obviously didn't put it down in your
Slide.
here, you see.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Can you see my report, Doctor?
I can't. You have to unshare.
No wonder lah. That's why I show you. Sorry. Oh, okay, this one. I thought I already shared this one, Doctor. I actually explained. So this study, 40 respondent for the questionnaire, and then 10 from the department, which is through the interview.
What about the questionnaire? Do you have like a transcript for the? Where are your questions? That's the thing.
Okay. I already accept this one, all the answer. Sekejap, Doctor. Yeah, this one. So this is the answer lah during the interview. So I put in a team, so with the codes and the vectors lah. So this is what they said during the interview lah.
You need to be very careful here. If you have like got 10 interview here, you need to summarize them lah, like maybe based on the question itself. How many questions do you have for the interview?
10.
10 question.
10 question. Can I show you my interview question?
Yeah, can.
Sekejap. Oh, I need to unshare. Sekejap.
Because you don't put it in your methodology, you see. That's the thing. I'm like very doubtful on your methodology.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Share. Can you see, Doctor?
Yes.
So this proper lah. This one the standard. So these are the background respondent, their demography. So these are the
Okay, so this is the set of different this is different from your survey, correct? Not?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So meaning that each of these questions you need to discuss on them later. You need to find way, like let's say, can you read out to me the first question? Is a bit small here, yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
say the first question you read to me.
okay, what are the qualities of human capital and capacity building in contract management in Sarawak Metro?
Okay, so that question, then you will need to say, okay, interviewee A says this, interviewee B says this, interviewee C said, like, how do they answer this, and it's supported by interviewee D, for example, is it? So then at the end of that, you have a summary of like what they say, is it? So it has to be questions by questions.
Oh, okay. So
And you
if
didn't
my
show that at all. You didn't show that at all in your results.
oh yeah, okay. You mean should put in the presentation lah. Tapi Doktor, what if my summary is like this? Okay, kayak yang the one that I show you tadi yang ada quotes, the thematic, that is the answer lah.
Yeah, that one is summary lah, but when you write, you have to kind of like point out what people say, you see, that is the purpose of interview.
This one. Oh, it means I have to explain what being said by the interview A, B, C, something like that.
Yeah, but then you do it based on questions lah.
Okay, understood. I have
At the end of it, this is the summary, is fine, but then you must like say that, okay,
specific lah, right?
for questions number one regarding or you can put it into subtopics, like for example the question number one is what is the question again? The human capital,
Yes.
human capital. So you can show result from your survey, you can show result from your interview. So result from your interview is it's like a transcript, like say by who, like who says this is it, and then supported by who, and then who didn't answer, the kind of thing.
Yeah, understood.
I don't think it's that difficult to put it together, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
must also put at least one transcript or two transcript in your, like a full transcript, what they say, exact word that they say, not after kacau punya, like just exact word that they say. You have to put one in the appendix, and then the interview questions, the survey, they take one, the actual copy, the official copy, with the answers. You must have at least 3
Okay.
in your appendix to prove that this is really done.
Okay, kira bukti lah, proof. Okay, right.
Yeah. It is. This is part of the ethics. Yeah. Okay. I think as long as we are clear on your result, in your methodology, then your result shouldn't be an issue lah, huh?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to mention here is focus group. You don't use the word interview lah, huh? I think it's just to check the or check the quality of the questionnaire lah, not so much on interview, because otherwise it's going to be confusing with the interview in the next layer, you see. So you say field survey and interview, that is really interview results.
Okay.
The upper one is just a focus group to check on your questionnaire or to try out using the questionnaire before confirming on the final questionnaire, before going into the field survey. And then the interview, you have to write another way of data collection is via interview, and then you need to explain the questions of the interview, you see, and then how you triangulate the data, you see, so that the data analysis. So you have to write two sections, like two differently, like, the survey is under survey, interview is under, don't mix them.
Okay, understood. Paham, Doctor.
Yeah. So
is it like this, right, Doctor? One is the for the questionnaire like this. One is for the interview.
betul. Yes,
Okay.
correct. So that means the interview, the word that you use in the focus group, don't use the word interview lah, huh? Right, Reily. Because it's not really interview. It's just you just go through them, ask them to test drive.
Betul.
Yeah.
Betul.
So we call, and then the other thing is, did you describe how did you take your samples? Like, how did you, in your report, did you say, did you calculate why 52 is enough?
Yeah. You mean for my data analysis, like descriptive analysis? So I explain something
No,
like
no,
that.
no. The interview is fine. Interview normally 10 is more than enough already. What I mean is, how do you know you have got 52 participants in respondents? We call it respondents, okay? So respondents for your survey, why did you take 52? Like, how did you end up with the figure 52? How many did you send out? And how many was returned to you? And how many is enough to show the sample? Because you say 50, you know,
Yeah,
and then
50, betul.
but why I ask you, why don't you do 80? Why don't you do 90?
Oh, that one because in the metro punya how to say punya perspective, not all of the people is aware or how to say familiar with the contract management. So I believe these 50 people is the right people to give me the answer. Yeah.
But you have to explain the sampling, your population and sampling.
Oh, okay. I explained in the report lah for my macam purposive and the random sampling and also the sample size lah.
Did you put in the formula to calculate the samples and all that?
Yes.
Like, say, you know, the population for Sarawak Metro people is about how many staff there, you know, like, say they have about 100 project management team, for example. So after your sampling, you know, should be 25 or 30 is enough. So you send out to 50, or you send out to 60 and then you get back 50, you know, you have to explain this process lah.
So this one I have to explain more lah, right? So this is the formula lah, sample size I use and then the level confidence semua.
To show the calculation.
Yeah. Sorry?
Did you show your calculation? You show me your formula, but did you show the calculation?
Oh no, calculation I buat dalam Excel.
You have to show it in your report also, huh?
Oh, okay. Wait. So so you mean the Excel punya lah, just copy paste lah, is it?
Mm, how you arrive at the minimum sample? You
You
will
mean?
show us,
Oh, okay.
not just the formula, the actual calculation. Well, you are doing the right thing, you know. It's just that you're not showing things, you see.
Yeah, betul. Okay. Okay, I will put in the report lah. I think I will amend report this report.
Yeah, you take a look. Like, when is the submission date for the report? 11.
Isnin 9.
Oh, 9. Okay, so then you have exam to sit for again, no?
Yeah. That's why I'm taking leave today, doctor.
Oh.
Have to study.
Yeah, but I think it's very minor lah, your thing,
Yep.
you know, very minor. So not much of an issue from me because it's very simple. If your methodology is good, you know, that means the data collection shouldn't be much of an issue, and then the conclusion that you make should be okay lah, you know. Not perfect, but it's okay, you see, because you are doing it the correct way. So yeah, that's why I'm focusing on your methodology here. Okay, so I think that's fine. Did you have the final framework? Did you show any final framework?
Yes.
The triangle, is it?
Yeah. That triangle I show you again.
I think there is a lot more work that can be done now, huh? A lot more work that can be done. I think, but it's okay because this is only RP, not a full-blown master's thesis, huh?
Yeah.
I think the way that how do you calculate the human capital, clarity of policies, you know, all these things can be more quantitative, like my opinion, huh?
Yes.
Yours is very qualitative, like very descriptive sort of things, yeah. So it's a good start, but I think this project can be continued into other things, I would say, yeah. So, I mean, there's a good potential for it, okay? It's just that I think for RP, whatever that you're doing is sufficient, you know, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. So I think that's all from me. You see how to improve on the report, especially the methodology bit, because the methodology is going to give an impression on whether your data is going to be good or not, you see. So if your methodology is not showing a lot of things, we just think that your data is simply buat punya. You get what I mean?
Yeah, betul, betul. Correct, correct.
Okay, right.
Okay.
That's all. Do
Okay,
you have
thank
any
you.
questions?
Yes, yes, doctor, of course. Doctor, during the submission, like I only submit through the ELIP, or I have to print out like the hardbound like we did in the degree times. Is it like that?
Definitely submission to examination is only ELIT, but when you finish your degree, meaning that you graduate, we'll need a hardbound copy from you.
Oh, okay. So,
Because after examination, your examiner may have comment, you see. They may want you to improve the report, and your supervisor may want you to improve the report. So we normally don't ask for a hardbound now. Okay, you just have to
yeah.
email and also ELIP and all that to the examiner and your supervisor. But once you pass already, is this your last sem? Not yet, kan?
Last one.
Or last sem already? No,
Yes.
last sem as in, are you here with us for 3 sem already, ka?
Yes, yes. Tidak berasa.
Eh?
Yeah, from Nitya, zaman Nitya until me and Emira lah. This is our last semester, doctor.
Oh, okay. So you're going to graduate on time if you pass everything this sem, huh?
Yeah, hopefully, doctor.
Yeah, okay. If that's the case, once you get the green light that your result is out already, and you confirm with your examiner and also your supervisor there's no more changes to your thesis, you need to do 3 hardbound copy.
Oh, okay. 3.
Yeah. But that is my program. Your program, I think the best is to ask Dr. Lee lah. Yeah.
Okay.
But definitely we will get a hardbound copy from you as a record, yeah.
Okay.
But how many copies and all that, you better check with the program coordinator or Dr. Lee as your thesis coordinator.
Okay. Can.
But for now, submission for examination, no need.
Oh, okay. Okay. Paham.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
How's my assignment? The course assignment finished already now?
Yeah, finished. But yeah, struggle a bit lah. Yeah, because I know we normally done in Excel all the formula. So now during the assignment I have to check back pakai manual punya calculation. Very hard.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It's important because the report, if it's not good, I mean, it's going to waste your work, you see.
Betul.
Okay. All right, that's all from me.
Right. Thank you, doctor. Hope to see you around lah. Huh?
Yeah, see you during graduation next year lah, huh?
Okay.
This year.
This year.
Okay.
Fully, doctor. Thank you very much, doctor.
Good luck. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye. I leave now.